The unseen threat. Across the vast stretches of space, the galaxy was buzzing with news about humanity. For years, Earth had been seen as just another planet among thousands, a primitive world that couldn't possibly stand up to the might of the galactic empires. But something had changed, something no one could explain. The once quiet humans had disappeared, and now the galaxy trembled with fear. The imperial leaders, sitting in their grand council chambers, exchanged concerned glances. Reports were coming in from all corners of the galaxy. The human fleet, which had been quietly building strength, had vanished. No longer was Earth's military visible in space. It was as if humanity had disappeared into the shadows. There were whispers that Earth had developed a weapon, one so powerful, no one could comprehend its full scale. And now, no one knew what to expect. They'd gone quiet. Admiral Venner, a seasoned officer of the Galactic Empire, said gravely, "We don't know what they're doing, but I'm not sure it's something we can ignore." Emperor Zorlak, ruler of the Empire, furrowed his brow. The Empire had always prided itself on its power, its domination over the galaxy. But the humans had defied every expectation. What was once a small, insignificant species now posed an unknown threat. The Empire had made a grave mistake in underestimating humanity. And now, that mistake might cost them everything. "Perhaps they're preparing for something," Zorlak muttered, his mind racing. "Something we can't see." Meanwhile, across the galaxy, other empires were beginning to share the same concerns. The Varish Alliance, a powerful group of alien species, was no stranger to conflict. They had fought many wars and had seen their fair share of destructive forces. But humanity was different. For the first time, they found themselves truly afraid of a species that had once been regarded as weak. "We cannot let this go unnoticed," General Tarek of the Varish Alliance said to his council. "If the humans have a weapon, we need to know what it is. We cannot risk them growing any more powerful." But no one knew where to begin looking. No one had seen the human fleet for months. The once bustling space lanes around Earth were eerily silent. Ships that had once traveled to and from Earth had disappeared. Communications from Earth had stopped. The humans had gone dark, and no one knew if they were preparing for war, hiding from it, or something else entirely. Back on Earth, a different story was unfolding. The leaders of humanity, having learned of the galaxy's growing concern, sat quietly in their command center, monitoring the situation. They knew the time was coming. The time when the galaxy would learn just how powerful humanity had become. They had been preparing for years, building new fleets, new technologies. The day when humanity would strike back was approaching. In the heart of Earth's command center, General Mara Soren stood, her eyes fixed on the star charts in front of her. She had watched as the galaxy ignored her people, dismissed them as insignificant. But that had all changed. The humans had discovered something the galaxy had never known, a weapon, an ability to fight back that the rest of the universe had never considered. The human fleet had quietly moved into position, waiting for the right moment to strike. Now, the only question was whether the galaxy would even survive the coming storm. "We are ready," General Soren said, her voice calm but filled with the weight of the decision ahead. "We've trained for this. Now it's time to show the galaxy what we're capable of." But the Empire and the rest of the galaxy was not prepared for what was coming. They had made a mistake by underestimating humanity. Now the humans had the advantage, an advantage they would use to their full potential. Back in the council chambers of the Galactic Empire, Admiral Venner stood up, his face grim. "I think we've underestimated them," he said. "The humans are not the weak, insignificant species we once thought them to be. They have something we don't understand, and that's what makes them dangerous." Emperor Zorlak clenched his fists, his mind racing. "Then we will find out what they have," he said coldly. "We will crush them before they become a real threat." But what Zorlak didn't know was that humanity wasn't preparing to be crushed. They were preparing to show the galaxy the full extent of their power. The first battle was coming, and the galaxy would soon learn that humanity was not to be taken lightly. The fear in the galaxy was palpable. The once dismissed species of Earth had become a symbol of unknown power, a force that threatened the very fabric of the galaxy's power structure. Whispers of humanity's strength spread through the Empire's ranks, through the Varish Alliance, and even to the most distant corners of space. As the fear grew, one thing became clear to every empire in the galaxy. Humanity was no longer the insignificant species they once thought. They were a threat, and soon, the galaxy would learn just why they feared humanity's wrath. The first encounter. Hook. When the alien fleet set course for Earth, they thought they were prepared for anything. But what they found, they could never have predicted. The alien fleet approached Earth, their ships large and imposing, their weapons ready to strike. The Varish Alliance had been watching humanity closely after the sudden silence from Earth. Now, they were ready to make their move. With their immense strength and advanced technology, they believed they could easily overwhelm the humans and establish dominance over Earth. The humans, after all, had been quiet for too long. They seemed like an easy target. At the head of the Varish fleet was Supreme Commander Karis, a battle-hardened leader who had fought countless wars across the galaxy. He had never encountered a species as stubborn and unpredictable as humanity, but he was confident that this time, victory was guaranteed. "Prepare the fleet," Karis ordered, his voice sharp. "We take Earth. We end their threat once and for all." The fleet moved swiftly toward Earth's orbit, their ships cutting through space like a blade. Karis watched from his command bridge as Earth's defenses remained silent, no sign of movement or resistance. They were on the brink of victory. But as they neared Earth's atmosphere, something changed. The first sign of something unusual came from the edge of the Varish fleet. A small human ship, almost invisible against the vastness of space, appeared out of nowhere. It was sleek, silent, and almost ghost-like. Karis' sensors were unable to detect it, and the ship moved with incredible speed. "What is that?" one of his officers asked, his voice trembling. Karis narrowed his eyes. He'd never seen anything like it before. The ship seemed to vanish and reappear, moving in ways no alien ship should be able to. "It's a human vessel," Karis growled, his eyes narrowing in suspicion. "They've been hiding their true strength." Without warning, the small human ship opened fire, but it wasn't like any weapon the Varish had ever seen. The blast was devastating, ripping through one of the fleet's smaller ships with a single shot. The explosion was so intense that it sent shockwaves through the entire fleet. The Varish officers scrambled to react. The ship had appeared out of nowhere, dealt a deadly blow, and then vanished again. It was as if the humans were taunting them, making them chase shadows. The once quiet humans now had the upper hand. Karis was furious. "Activate our defense systems," he commanded. "Track that ship. Find it." But it was no use. The human ship continued to strike from unexpected angles, hitting the Varish ships with pinpoint precision. The aliens were completely outmatched. The humans were no longer the easy target they had assumed. They had weapons, technology, and tactics far beyond what the Varish had anticipated. As Karis watched his fleet struggle to react, the true scope of the human threat became clear. These were not the weak, insignificant beings they had once dismissed. The humans had evolved, adapted, and prepared in ways the galaxy had never imagined. While the Varish fleet scrambled, Earth's fleet, hidden in the shadows of their planet, launched its full assault. Hundreds of ships, each with advanced cloaking technology and devastating weaponry, appeared out of nowhere. The once great Varish fleet was now surrounded, outnumbered and outclassed. The Varish officers were in panic. Their fleets, once feared throughout the galaxy, were now trapped in a deadly ambush. The humans had prepared for this moment, and they were executing their plan with ruthless precision. We can't hold them off," one of the Varish commanders muttered in disbelief. "The humans are. They're everywhere." Commander Karis, his anger boiling over, slammed his fist on the control panel. "We must retreat," he ordered, his voice cold with frustration. "Get us out of here." But the humans weren't done. As the Varish fleet began to retreat, another wave of human ships emerged from the shadows, cutting off their escape routes. The galaxy's most feared fleet, one that had conquered countless worlds, was now at the mercy of humanity's unexpected wrath. On Earth's command center, General Mara Soren watched the battle unfold on the screens. She remained calm, her face expressionless, as her plan played out perfectly. Humanity had finally revealed its true power to the galaxy. The Varish had been the first to fall, but they wouldn't be the last. "They thought they could conquer us," Soren muttered, her eyes narrowing. "Now they know better." The Varish fleet, battered and broken, was forced to retreat, limping back to their homeworld with their tails between their legs. The humans had sent a clear message: don't mess with Earth. The galaxy now knew that humanity was not a species to be underestimated, and they were just getting started. As the Varish fleet limped away from Earth, Karis could only stare out at the vast emptiness of space, his mind racing. How had the humans done this? What other surprises did they have waiting? He had no answers, only fear. The galaxy had just learned a valuable lesson: never underestimate humanity. And it was only the beginning. The reckoning. Hook. The retreating Varish fleet was only the beginning. As more alien empires learn of humanity's power, they prepare for a war like no other. In the aftermath of the devastating defeat, the galaxy was in chaos. The Varish Alliance had never suffered a blow like this, and their retreat from Earth sent ripples through the vast expanse of space. The story of the unexpected human ambush spread quickly, with whispers of Earth's newfound strength reaching every corner of the galaxy. What had once been dismissed as an insignificant planet now had the attention of every galactic power. The Galactic Empire, the most powerful faction in the galaxy, watched the situation with great interest. Emperor Zorlak, a seasoned ruler who had crushed countless rebellions and civilizations, knew the Varish defeat wasn't just a fluke. Humanity was not like any species they had faced before. They were resourceful, unpredictable, and most terrifying of all, unseen. The galaxy had underestimated Earth, and now it was too late to turn back. Zorlak stared out at the stars from his private chamber, his face a mask of stone. He had conquered entire star systems, but the thought of confronting humanity filled him with a deep unease. For the first time in years, the Empire wasn't certain of victory. "This cannot be allowed to continue," Zorlak muttered, pacing back and forth. "Humanity must be crushed before they get any stronger." Across the galaxy, the leaders of the various alien empires were making similar decisions. The Zinter Dominion, a brutal militaristic race, called an emergency council. Their representative, General Rykor, stood before his people, his face hard and unforgiving. "We cannot allow the Varish's failure to be our own," Rykor growled. "Humanity has shown they are a threat. An unseen, unpredictable threat. We must prepare for war." The Zinter Dominion's military strength was legendary. Their warships and ground forces feared across the galaxy. But they had never faced an opponent like humanity. How could they? No species had ever managed to remain hidden from the mighty Zintar Empire. The humans had somehow done the impossible, vanishing into the shadows and striking when least expected. Meanwhile, on Earth, the military leaders were preparing for the next phase of their plan. General Mara Soren watched the reports coming in from all across the galaxy. The Varish were only the beginning. News of their defeat had already reached other empires, and now the galaxy was gathering its forces in response. But humanity had a secret weapon: their ability to remain unseen. Earth's new fleet was ready to strike again, and this time, they would make sure their message was heard loud and clear. "We cannot let up now," General Soren said, her voice calm yet filled with determination. "The galaxy needs to understand that we won't back down. We must show them that we are not a species to be trifled with." The human fleet, equipped with advanced cloaking technology, moved silently through space. Thousands of ships, all hidden from the view of enemy sensors, waited for the right moment to strike. Their weapons were ready, and their battle plans were set. The time for playing defense was over. Humanity was no longer hiding. They were coming for the galaxy. The Zinter Dominion, now fully aware of the threat, sent out a call to arms. Their fleets, massive and ruthless, gathered at the edge of the human sector. General Riker knew they had to strike before the humans could hit them first. But there was a problem. No one could see the humans. They could only hope to catch them before it was too late. The first move came when a Zinter fleet arrived in the outer rim of human space. The ships were heavily armed, their sensors scanning the vast emptiness around them for any sign of humanity. But Earth's fleet, as usual, remained silent, invisible in the black void. The Zinter ships moved forward, unaware that they were already surrounded. And then, as if from nowhere, the human fleet emerged. The Zintar warships, though formidable, were caught completely off guard. The first barrage of fire from the invisible human ships tore through the Zinter defenses, breaking apart the lead ship in a matter of seconds. Before the Zinter could even react, more human ships appeared from the shadows, striking from unexpected angles. The galaxy's most feared fleet, the Zinter Dominion, was now under attack. Riker, who had led countless campaigns across the stars, found himself on the defensive for the first time. "What is this?" he demanded, his voice filled with disbelief. "Where are they coming from?" The humans weren't just fighting back. They were ambushing, outsmarting, and overwhelming the Zintar at every turn. It was as if they were everywhere and nowhere at the same time, slipping in and out of view, striking from the shadows. The Zinter fleet, once feared and invincible, was falling apart piece by piece. In a desperate attempt to regain control, Riker ordered his fleet to fire at anything that moved, but it was useless. The human ships were too quick, too elusive. The Zinter ships fell one by one, and panic began to spread through their ranks. "Retreat! Fall back!" Riker screamed, realizing that they were losing far too quickly. "We cannot win this battle." The Zinter fleet, once the pride of their empire, turned tail and fled, abandoning their mission and retreating into the unknown depths of space. The human fleet had won. Again. On Earth, General Soren watched the Zinter fleet retreat on the screen in front of her. A small, satisfied smile tugged at the corners of her lips. "The galaxy will learn," she whispered, her voice barely audible. "Humanity is not to be underestimated." The message was clear. Humanity's wrath was real, and it would not be stopped. The galaxy had made a mistake in thinking humanity was weak, and now they were paying the price. As the Zinter fleet disappeared into the distance, the rest of the galaxy could only wonder, what would humanity do next? The galactic response. Look, the galaxy's most powerful empires are gathering, determined to stop humanity's rise. But what they don't know is that humanity's greatest weapon has yet to be unleashed. After the devastating defeat of the Varish and Zinter fleets, the galaxy was buzzing with fear and uncertainty. The reputation of humanity had shifted overnight from a small, insignificant species to the most dangerous threat the galaxy had ever faced. The once confident empires now found themselves questioning their dominance, unsure if they could withstand the human onslaught. The Galactic Council, a vast assembly of the galaxy's most powerful leaders, convened in a desperate attempt to form a unified front against Earth. Alien species that had previously never given humanity a second thought now saw the humans as the greatest threat to their existence. Even the once imposing Galactic Empire, whose fleets had crushed countless worlds, knew they couldn't ignore humanity any longer. At the heart of the council stood Emperor Zorlak, his face hard as stone. The Varish and Zinter had already fallen, and the galaxy's power was beginning to shift. Zorlak had made it clear, Earth could not be allowed to rise any further. "The humans have made their move, and we must respond," Zorlak growled, his voice filled with venom. "We cannot afford another defeat." The leaders of other empires nodded in agreement. The Zinter Dominion, humiliated in their defeat, had already pledged their support to the Galactic Empire, hoping that by uniting their forces, they could crush the human threat once and for all. "Humanity is unlike any species we've faced," said General Rykor, his voice laced with frustration. "They strike without warning, using tactics we cannot predict. They don't fight fair, they fight to win, and they don't stop." The council chamber fell silent as the weight of those words settled in. For the first time, even the most powerful empires were uncertain about how to proceed. "The solution is simple," Zorlak said, his voice cold and calculating. "We will attack Earth with everything we have. We will destroy their fleets, obliterate their defenses, and ensure they never rise again." As the Galactic Council began to formulate its strategy, the response from Earth was already in motion. General Marasorin had been watching the Council's activities closely, and she knew that the time to strike was rapidly approaching. The alien empires, united in their fear of humanity, were preparing for war, and it wouldn't be long before they would launch an all-out assault on Earth. But humanity was ready. Sorin had made sure of it. The human fleet had grown larger, stronger, and more advanced with every passing day. Hidden in the shadows of space, their ships remained unseen, but they were no longer just defending Earth. They were preparing to take the fight to the enemy. On Earth's command center, Sorin gathered her top commanders for a briefing. The room was tense, the air thick with anticipation. Everyone knew the stakes were high. If the Galactic Empire and its allies succeeded, humanity's rise would be cut short. But if they could hold their ground, the galaxy would never be the same again. "We've learned everything we need to know about our enemies," General Sorin began, her voice firm. "The Varish, the Zinter, they all thought they could conquer us. But they made a critical mistake. They underestimated us." Sorin paused, letting her words sink in. She could see the faces of her commanders, filled with determination and resolve. They had already fought battles that seemed impossible, and they had come out victorious. But now, the real test was coming. "The aliens are gathering," she continued. "But we have something they don't. We have the element of surprise, and we have the will to fight. We're not just defending our planet anymore. We're going on the offensive." As she spoke, her commanders looked to the screens that displayed the latest intelligence reports. The alien fleets were massing, preparing to strike. But Earth's fleets were ready too. Hidden in the vastness of space, the ships lay in wait, their cloaking technology protecting them from detection. "We will make sure they regret ever crossing us," Sorin said, a fire burning in her eyes. "When they come for us, we will be waiting." At that very moment, the first wave of the Galactic Empire's fleet began its journey toward Earth. The fleet was vast, a colossal force that had crushed entire star systems. But this time, they would face something they had never encountered before. A species that could hide in plain sight, strike without warning, and fight with a ferocity that no one had expected. As the massive fleet entered Earth's solar system, they found themselves surrounded by silence. The sensors did not pick up a single human ship. The Empire's fleet moved closer to Earth's orbit, still undetected, and their commanders grew anxious. Where were the humans? Were they still hiding? Emperor Zorlak's fleet advanced toward Earth, ready to strike the first blow. But Earth's fleet was already there, cloaked and waiting. The tension was palpable as the first shots were fired, and the battle for the future of the galaxy began. On Earth's command ship, General Sorin stood at the center of the room, watching the unfolding battle with a mixture of cold calculation and fierce pride. The galaxy had made one fatal mistake. They had underestimated humanity. And now, they would pay the price. The message was clear. The galaxy had come to challenge Earth. But they would soon learn that humanity was no longer the prey. They were the predators. The first strike. Look, the human fleet remains unseen, but their first attack sends shockwaves across the galaxy. The aliens are about to learn just how powerful humanity can be. The silence in space was deafening. The Galactic Empire's massive fleet, having entered Earth's solar system, moved cautiously toward their target. Their sensors searched every inch of space, yet they found nothing. No human ships appeared on their radar. No sign of life. It was almost too quiet. Emperor Zorlak sat in the command room, his eyes narrowed with suspicion. He couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. But where were the humans? Why didn't they defend their planet? Had they given up without a fight? He signaled to his fleet's commanders. "Continue the advance," Zorlak ordered, his voice low and commanding. "We'll reach the planet's surface soon. We'll show them the true might of the Empire." Little did they know, humanity had a plan far more terrifying than any of them had anticipated. As the Imperial fleet drew closer to Earth, General Mara Soren stood before her team, watching the fleet's movements on her own private screens. Now, she whispered to herself, her fingers tapping against the armrest of her chair. On command, the human fleet, hidden deep within the shadows of space, activated their cloaking technology. The ships, which had been perfectly invisible up until this moment, now moved as one, silently creeping toward the Empire's forces. Suddenly, the silence was shattered. The first blast hit. A Zintar warship, part of the Empire's vanguard, exploded into a fiery ball of debris, caught completely by surprise. No one had seen it coming. The Zintar ships were not even aware that they were in the line of fire. The human ships, still cloaked, fired their weapons with deadly accuracy, taking down enemy vessels before the Empire could even retaliate. "Report," General Rykor barked, his face pale with shock. "We've been hit. A Zintar flagship has been destroyed," a crew member shouted. The chaos erupted throughout the Empire's fleet as more explosions rocked their ships. Humanity's hidden armada unleashed hell from all directions, their attacks coming from every angle. The aliens had no idea how to react. The Zintar fleet, despite its size and firepower, was disorganized and thrown into panic. The humans were everywhere and nowhere at once, striking with precision and speed that no one had ever thought possible. Their weapons tore through the Zintar defenses like paper, shredding the once impenetrable armor of the mighty warships. "What is happening?" Zorlak demanded, his voice rising in alarm. "Who is attacking us? Where are they?" The Imperial fleet began to stagger, their once pristine formation crumbling as more ships fell under the barrage of human fire. The cloaked human ships continued to appear and disappear at will, never staying in one place long enough for the Zintar or Imperial forces to retaliate. The Empire's greatest fleet was being torn apart, and they still couldn't even see their attackers. Zorlak's eyes blazed with fury. "We cannot allow this to continue. Prepare the fleet's countermeasures." But it was too late. Humanity had already achieved the first stage of their victory. Back on Earth, General Soren stood by a window, looking out into the stars. She had known this day would come, and she had prepared for it. The galaxy had underestimated Earth's capabilities. They thought they could come in and destroy humanity with their superior technology. But now, the galaxy was learning the hard truth. "We're not the ones to fear," Soren said softly, her voice cold with determination. "They are." The human fleet continued its relentless assault, and with each strike, they sent a powerful message across the stars. Humanity had come out of hiding, and now no one was safe. In the heart of the Imperial fleet, panic spread like wildfire. The once mighty fleet was now scattered, its forces in disarray. Zorlak knew that this battle had been lost. The humans were too clever, too resourceful. They had prepared for this moment and struck without mercy. "Retreat," Zorlak ordered, his voice shaking with anger and fear. "All ships, retreat to the nearest starbase. We cannot afford to lose any more ships." But the humans weren't done yet. As the Empire's fleet began to scatter, a final devastating blow struck their command ship. The heart of their operations, the flagship of the Galactic Empire, was reduced to a pile of debris, Its once proud hull crumpled and shattered by a single well-placed strike from the hidden human ships. On Earth, the military command room erupted in cheers. The first strike had been a success. The Empire's might was shattered, and humanity had delivered the message. We will not back down. But this was only the beginning. The galaxy had been shaken to its core, but the real test was yet to come. The remaining empires would be forced to respond, and humanity would need to be ready for whatever came next. For now, though, humanity had won, and the galaxy would never forget the day they learned the true meaning of human wrath, the Empire's desperation. Hook. The Galactic Empire, battered and broken, scrambles to find a way to fight back. But they are about to discover that humanity's wrath is far from over. The Galactic Empire's once proud fleet was in disarray. Their flagship had been destroyed, and several other ships were either damaged or lost in the initial surprise attack. Emperor Zorlak sat in his command center, his face twisted with rage as he watched the chaos unfold across his fleet's communication channels. This cannot be happening, he roared, slamming his fist onto the control panel in front of him. How did they do this? How did they strike so fast, so precisely? The Imperial officers around him looked on in silence, too stunned to respond. Their once invincible fleet was now teetering on the edge of collapse. Ships that had been the pride of the galaxy now drifted helplessly, unable to recover from the surprise attack that had crippled them. Zorlak turned toward General Rykor, his most trusted military leader. You promised me victory. You said humanity was weak and easily defeated. What do you have to say for yourself now? Rykor stood rigidly, his eyes avoiding the Emperor's glare. He had never seen anything like this. It was a tactical strike. They used cloaking technology, attacked our weak points. I know what they did. Zorlak interrupted. They made us look like fools. The Varish thought they could handle them. The Zinter thought they could handle them. And now we're the ones on the brink of destruction. We've underestimated them in every way possible. The room fell into a tense silence, the weight of their failure settling over them. The galaxy's greatest military force, brought to its knees by a species they had once considered insignificant. We cannot afford to lose this war, Zorlak continued, his voice cold and calculating. Prepare the second wave of attacks. This time, we will strike harder. We will show them that we are the true power in the galaxy. But even as he gave his orders, deep down, Zorlak knew something had changed. The Empire had been humiliated. And now, the galaxy's other powers were watching closely, waiting to see how the Empire would respond to humanity's shocking rise. On Earth, General Soren sat quietly in her command center, watching the Empire's retreating fleet on the screens. It was only a temporary victory, but it was enough to send a clear message. Humanity was no longer the prey. They were the hunters. Soren looked up from the screens as one of her officers entered the room. General, we've intercepted a transmission. The Empire is regrouping. They're planning a counteroffensive. Soren nodded, her expression stoic. I expected as much. The Empire won't give up so easily. But this time, they're the ones on the defensive. The officer hesitated before speaking. General, there's something else. The Varish and Zinter have also started mobilizing. It looks like they're joining the Empire for a final strike. A small smirk crossed Soren's lips. Let them come. We'll show them what happens when they try to take on humanity. She turned to the rest of her team. Prepare our forces. We've proven we can fight back, but the real battle is still ahead. The galaxy may think they can overpower us, but they don't understand one thing. What's that, General? Asked one of her commanders. That humanity never stops fighting. They think we're weak, but we will show them how wrong they are. Prepare for the next stage of the war. As the preparations were made, the Empire's second wave began its march toward Earth, accompanied by the Varish and Zinter forces. But this time, the humans would not be caught off guard. Their fleet, already in place, was ready to strike again, hidden in the shadows of space. The first battle had shown the galaxy what humanity was capable of. But the true test was yet to come. As the Empire and its allies advanced, humanity's final push was poised to begin. The galaxy would learn, once and for all, that Earth was not a world to be conquered. It was a world that would make them all fear what it meant to face humanity's wrath. The wrath of humanity. Hook. The Empire and its allies are ready for their final strike. But they don't realize that humanity has something far more devastating waiting for them. The Empire's fleet, along with their Varish and Centaur allies, had regrouped and now stood united, poised for a final assault on Earth. Thousands of warships filled the vast expanse of space, their weapons ready to unleash a wave of destruction that would wipe humanity from the galaxy forever. The galaxy had underestimated Earth's resilience, but now they intended to end it all. Emperor Zorlak stood on the bridge of his command ship, gazing out at the approaching battle. His mind raced with thoughts of revenge. The destruction of his fleet had been humiliating, but this time he was determined to crush humanity once and for all. Today the galaxy will see the power of the Empire, he muttered to himself, his fists clenched in anticipation. General Rykor stood beside him, equally determined. The humans are cornered now. We've got them surrounded. They won't survive this. Zorlak's lips curled into a cruel smile. Let's finish this once and for all. Meanwhile, on Earth, General Soren and her command staff watched the growing threat on their screens. The Empire's fleet had reassembled, but they were heading straight for Earth, underestimating humanity's ability to strike back. The odds seemed impossible, but Soren knew they had no choice but to fight. They had already sent a clear message. Humanity would never back down. We've prepared for this, Soren said, her voice calm yet resolute. Our fleet is ready. We've been waiting for this moment since the first attack. The Empire will think they can overwhelm us, but they've forgotten one important detail. We've been preparing for this war too. As the Empire's fleet drew closer, humanity's hidden armada remained concealed, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Their ships, cloaked and ready, moved into position, ready to engage the enemy. The Empire had no idea what was coming. The first explosion shook the entire galaxy as a human warship, cloaked and unseen, fired a devastating shot at the front lines of the Empire's fleet. The blast tore through the Empire's defenses like paper, and the resulting explosion sent shockwaves through the surrounding ships. The first wave of destruction had begun. Zorlak's face turned pale as he saw the impact on his fleet. What is happening? Where are they? He demanded, his voice full of disbelief. Impossible, Rykor muttered, his eyes wide with horror. They've hidden their fleet again. How are they doing this? The human fleet struck again, this time targeting key ships in the Imperial formation. Each strike was perfectly timed, each shot more devastating than the last. The once mighty Imperial ships fell one by one, unable to react fast enough to the lightning-fast attacks from humanity's invisible armada. The Varish and Centaur forces, caught off guard and disoriented, struggled to defend themselves. They had been prepared for a battle against an outnumbered and weak species. Instead, they were facing a nightmare, an unseen enemy that seemed to anticipate their every move. We need to regroup, Zorlak shouted. The humans are too powerful. We need to pull back. But it was too late. Humanity had already turned the tide of the battle. The Empire's fleet, its alliances, and its hopes of domination were crumbling under the weight of humanity's wrath. Earth's forces, once thought to be powerless, were now the most feared presence in the galaxy. As the human ships continued their assault, destroying one enemy vessel after another, Zorlak realized with growing dread that the Empire was losing. His forces were scattered and in retreat, while humanity stood firm, unyielding and determined. The once invincible Galactic Empire was now in full retreat, and their enemies were terrified of what the humans would do next. We have failed, Zorlak whispered, his face pale as he watched the destruction unfold. General Soren stood on the bridge of her flagship, watching the final moments of the battle unfold before her. Her expression was cold, but inside, she felt a sense of victory that she could hardly put into words. The Empire had underestimated humanity's resolve, and now they were paying the price. "We've shown them what happens when they challenge us," Soren said softly. "This is just the beginning." With one final devastating blow, the remaining Imperial ships were shattered. The galaxy's most powerful military force had been defeated, not by overwhelming numbers, but by the unbreakable will of humanity. The message was clear. Humanity had declared war, and the galaxy had never seen anything like it. As the dust settled and the wreckage of the Empire's fleet drifted through space, General Soren looked out into the stars, knowing that this victory had changed everything. The galaxy would never forget the day they learned to fear humanity's wrath. Humanity had proven itself, and the universe would never be the same again.